delighted to speak at the EGOV-CeDEM-EPART CeDEM conference. We have a lot of collective brain power present in the room in digital government research and policy. Thank you for the introduction. My background actually is mathematics and computer science, so it's probably fitting for me, but I have been working in the area of digital government for the last about 15 years. So it's fitting that in today's keynote I'm bringing a topic of artificial intelligence, which is highly technical, and transformation of government. So I'd like to explore the concept of cognitive government that have been starting to circulate in the public discourse. Can you hear me without microphone? No? Okay. I will explore the concept of cognitive government that started to circulate in the public discourse, along with the interest in societal applications of artificial intelligence, for the positive ones and also the negatives and the pitfalls. So I'd like to ask whether the concept of cognitive government is needed. Is it new? Is it just an instantiation of digital government to the tools and applications of artificial intelligence? And if we can really create a bridge between digital and cognitive government, whether digital government research, as it stands today with thousands of papers written and published, whether it's applicable to cognitive government. That's essentially the purpose of the talk. I'd like to proceed from a very public controversy that erupted between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg on the benefits and perils of artificial intelligence. Then I will move on to dichotomy as I see it between the research, the policy requirements on artificial intelligence and the existing research that should provide inputs to this policy. I will touch on the definition of the concept of cognitive government, and then move on with some examples, cases, the risks of cognitive government, and then a possible vision. And I'd like to kind of join with the previous talk with the call for human-centered vision of this concept and of technological development that is underneath. So that's the plan. Let me start with a fairly public argument that have taken place between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Let me
Intelligence is the ability to understand, we know to each other, and to machine it through codes and robotics to master it. But here's the question: where is the line between the man and the machine?
AI is much more advanced than people realize, and the pace of progress is much greater than people realize. You know, it'd be fairly obvious if you saw a robot walking around talking and behaving like a person, you're like, whoa, that's like, what's that? You know, that would be really obvious. What's not obvious is a huge server bank in a dark vault somewhere with an intelligence that's potentially vastly greater than what a human mind can do. I mean, its eyes and ears would be everywhere. Every camera, every microphone, every device that's network accessible. That's really what AI means. It's not like a robot running around. The robots would simply be, they'd be like a finger of the AI.
So you yourself have invested in some AI companies like DeepMind and Vicarious.
Yeah.
Why?
I invested in those companies to keep an eye on them. I wanted to see how artificial intelligence was developing. If we're not careful about the advent of AI, it's possible that there could be what's called a bad utility function. A computer will do exactly what its goal is. Humanity's position on this planet depends on its intelligence. So if our intelligence is exceeded, it's unlikely that we will remain in charge of the planet.
Okay, and now Mark Zuckerberg.
It is the battle of tech titans over the future of art.
I'm really optimistic, and I think that people who are naysayers and kind of try to drum up these doomsday scenarios are I don't understand it. I think it's really negative, and in some ways I actually think it's pretty irresponsible, because in the next 5 to 10 years, AI is going to deliver so many improvements in the quality of our lives.
Musk responded on Twitter Tuesday saying Zuckerberg's, quote, understanding of the subject is limited. Joining us now to further debate, our Bloomberg.
Okay. So that's for the start of this conversation. Okay, so to summarize, according to Mark Zuckerberg, AI is a force for good. It not only supports user experience on Facebook in terms of recognizing faces or deciding where to put ads or the news feeds, but it also addresses the instances of misbehavior on the platform, like spamming, fake accounts, or political fraud. That's not exactly what we learned from the case of Cambridge Analytica data about the influence on the allegedly on the US presidential elections in 2016. According to Elon Musk, the AI's ability to adapt to human speech, to learn our needs, our wants, will enable it to take over humanity and bring destruction, not development. So the key to humanity saving itself is merging humans with technology, hardwiring brains to interface directly with devices, and engaging in interplanetary colonization. But since this discussion erupted, there have been numerous commentaries in the media. One of them notably took place on CNN, and there, according to Michio Kaku from the City University of New York, actually both sides are correct. It's all a matter of timing. In the short term of 20-30 years, surely it's Mark Zuckerberg who is right, as today's robots have the very low intelligence, and all actions in the next decades will be in the growth of the AI industry. But in the long term, actually the words of Elon Musk may become prophetic. The key issue really is self-awareness. So today's robots are not aware. They don't know they are robots. But over time, they may become as intelligent as a mouse, as a dog, a cat, maybe at the end of the century, as intelligent as a monkey. And at that time, they will develop limited self-awareness, they will be super strong, and they will develop free will that they can use against our wishes. So they can become a threat effectively to humans. Now, so this is about controversy. Now I'd like to, so the area holds a lot of impact and need for policy intervention and regulation. And this has started to come in. Only in the last 15 months, 23 countries developed national AI strategies. You have these countries here, including European Union, Germany, US, UK, you name it. And when you look inside these instruments, then you will realize that they do promote strongly the adoption of AI by the public sector, really the transformation of public sector through the use of AI tools and applications, but they go further beyond these, and they strongly advocate the influence of AI in different policy domains. So, for example, in France, in healthcare, in transport, environment, in Japan, in productivity, mobility, in South Korea, national defense, public safety, United Arab Emirates, energy, water, education, etc. So you would think that there have been a fair amount of input to these policy instruments from digital government research community. Was there? When you search on Scopus for articles with the term cognitive government, you have zero. Perhaps it's a new term not established yet. When you search for AI and government, you have 394 publications. That's the data from yesterday. And out of these, most of them are in technology, in engineering, and in medicine. Only 85 in social sciences. So, so it seems like there have been little input from digital government research into the applications of AI in government and the policy instruments that I just referred to. So, so on one side we have a huge demand for AI policy and regulation. You see a wide-ranging set of national AI strategies. You have calls for public sector adoption of AI. You have calls for AI adoption in different policy sectors, not only in public administration, in policy sectors, and you have calls for more investment into AI research. But on the research side, you still see a fairly limited picture, scarce publications, most of them technical and in medical sciences, few in social sciences, and we do not see yet the integrative concept emerging, kind of a concept that integrates AI and public governance. So where is AI-focused digital government research? Well, we have a GIQ special issue that is coming up. There were about 30 submissions to this on Internet of Things and AI for smart governance. We have a track at this conference on AI data analytics and automated decision making, and we had one at DGO 2018 on artificial intelligence in the public sector. From what I figured out, there weren't such tracks present at our mainstream digital government conferences in the last years. So 2018 was the first year. So this is the controversy and the kind of highlighting the importance of the area for regulation, the dichotomy between policy and research. Of course, this search for literature was not comprehensive enough. Yes, there is no claim about systematic literature review, but a sense of that the landscape is fairly scarce. Now, a little bit about the concept. When you try to search for integrated concept and one that brings these two technology and the application domain together is cognitive government, then you don't have formal definitions. There is one paper in Russian that I will ask Dimitri to help me translate. Is Dimitri here? No. Evgeny is here. I still have to figure out the meaning of this definition, but most of the sources where this concept comes from are industrial ones, and they don't define explicitly. So IBM has a center on cognitive government and talks about cognitive era enabling government to analyze data and create insights and learn at speed. Deloitte also talks about cognitive technologies, so to augment the government workforce and change the quality and efficiency of government systems. When you look at Nesta is the innovation funding organization. It talks about cognitive government as a learning system that adapts to, in concert with other entities. It collaborates with. So the first two definitions are purely technological. They come from technology firms, and the latter one is more transformational. But is it enough? I mean, if we look at the policy spectrum and policy demand for insight in this area, is this type of understanding fairly narrow? Is it enough? And do we need an integrative concept? Can we just deal with digital government and AI, or customize the digital government to a particular type of technology, tools and applications of artificial intelligence? I'd like to kind of explore these questions a little bit by putting forward a model of the evolution of digital government that I proposed a couple of years back. It's called Digital Government Evolution, and try to look at the similarities and kind of junction points between digital and cognitive government that may be useful to explore. So according to the evolution, we have four kind of incremental stages. The first is digitization. It's about digitizing government information and automating government operations and public service delivery systems, but without really reforming, improving, transforming these systems. So we just digitize the administration as it is. Moving on, the transformation stage is all about transforming, and the example for digitization is, the recent one is robotic process automation, where mundane tasks in public administration are being automated through tools that can mimic the behavior of a human operator. Transformation moves on with the reform, improvement of processes, services, even culture of government, and facilitating institutional reform. Example is all kinds of innovations around public service delivery, co-design, collaboration in government, whole of government, etc. It's all about transformation, but this transformation is internal to government. The next stage is engagement, where we seek how digital technology can transform relationship between government and citizens, government and other non-state actors. We call it engagement. And then finally, the stage that is not concerned about improving government or improving relationship between government and citizens, but directly interested in creating conditions for development. So where the digital transformation in government is to serve to create better conditions for cities, for countries, for communities to develop themselves. And this one is called contextualization, because there the most development happens within sectors, not across, but within education, in health, security, justice, tourism, etc. So you can ascribe different names to the different stages. The digitization, I call it pre-e-government, is technology in government, no integrative concept. Then we have e-government for transformation, e-governance for engagement, and policy-driven digital government for contextualization. You can characterize these stages. You can look at three questions. First, are government operations transformed through digitization? Yes, no. Second, is the transformation affecting just government or the relationship between government and citizens? Yes, no. And the third one, is the transformation context-specific, territory, sector, city-specific, or it's context-independent? So you have a no to all three questions for digitization. You have just one yes to the first question for transformation. You have yes and yes for engagement for the first two questions. And all three questions are answered positively for contextualization. So that's a model of evolution. And you can see that, does it hold kind of a reality check or historical check on how the area evolved? A check was performed, limited check was performed. This is the statistics of GIQ publications since 1992 to 2014. We've seen digitization stage, digital government research published since '92, but the speed, the growth have been fairly slow. Transformation starting in '95, moving fast but slowing down in recent years. Engagement, the fastest growth of publications in GIQ, starting around 2002, and contextualization in 2005, and with a lot of prospects for growth. The more policy-specific, sector-specific developments in digital government. And there is also, you can verify this model looking, for example, at how Singapore has developed its 5 editions of national e-government strategies, and clearly, again, you see this evolution from, in the 80s, from civil service computerization program about automation of public services that belong to digitization stage, then moving on with operational efficiency improvements, or moving to transformation, networking, connected citizens, moving to engagement, and in the last 2 editions, moving on to co-creation for greater value for Singapore and enhancing national competitiveness, which belong to contextualization stage. So, but when we're going back to AI and the policy instruments that have been put forward in the last 15 years by 23 countries, what do they ask for? What do they ask for in terms of digital government maturity? Do they ask for digitization stage, or is just improving government or improving relationship is enough? Well, to answer this question, there had been research done in last year on relating digital government maturity to sustainable development goals. You know, the big program run by the United Nations with the 2030 deadline that is going to drive a lot of development efforts towards 2030 to eliminate hunger, poverty issue, universal education, etc. So 17 goals. 2 of them special, 16 is about stronger institutions. That's where we are essentially located with our research and partnership, stronger partnership for development. So by looking at 169 targets, SDG targets, it immediately became clear that very few of them could be fulfilled with digital government capacity at the stage of transformation or engagement. 87% of all targets require contextualization stage digital government. So I'd like to carry this analogy. So, and to just to also comment that as of today, we've seen less than 30% of UN member states actually having reached this stage. This is not precisely counted because we don't have the right instruments to measure this stage, but less than 1/3 member states could be potentially have reached this stage. So we are collectively grossly unprepared for sustainability challenge concerning digital government maturity. And when we go back to the requirements from the AI, national AI strategies, they talk about public services and public administration, but primarily they talk about impact on different policy sectors. It's just like in a small scale, like sustainable development goals. So my assumption here is that yes, contextualization stage level of evolution will be required to bring the AI development to the level where we can actually address the needs of these policy instruments. So concerning the construct of cognitive government, just one way is to look at the commutative graph that identifies cognitive government as a specialization of digital government enabled by digital technology, and cognitive government by cognitive technology, by tools and applications of artificial intelligence. And if you can plug in cognitive technology instead of digital technology in your favorite definition of digital government, you may come possibly with a reasonable definition of cognitive government. So, for example, the application of cognitive technology to transform the working of government, to transform the relationship between government and citizens, and to transform the administration of territories or sectors through the right policy and regulatory instruments. Okay, so now a few cases. Just a handful of cases of cognitive government as they emerge, not from scientific literature, but mostly from media reports and news project reports. One area that has been heavily influenced, and I would say it belongs to transformation stage, is predictive policing. In the engagement stage is automatic fact-checking, and yet another is poverty reduction, and it belongs to contextualization. I don't have much time, I will cut short. So predictive policing is the usage of mathematical models and tools of prediction and analysis in law enforcement to identify potential for criminal activity happening at different times, dates, and different squares and places in a city. One particular instantiation of this is PredPol. PredPol is a concrete tool deployed quite widely and which basically predicts when crime is likely to happen. The software must be trained on about 2 to 5 years of data coming from a city, and later on it can be linked to the agency's police record management systems to be updated on the ongoing basis. There are 3 data points collected for each crime: date, location, and type of crime. And predictions are displayed on Google Maps in 150 by 150 meter squares. And you know, policing is really about getting into the red squares. These are the high-risk areas for criminal activity. So this is PredPol. Fact-checking, automatic fact-checking. We have a massive problem, as everybody knows, with misinformation, and the correction of verifying the legitimacy of claims, public claims in public discourse is something sensitive. It can smug on censorship. Until I was 27 years old, I lived in the country with central censorship regime, so I know a little bit about this from first-hand experience. But that also creates a business case for automatic fact-checking. So you have tools, emerging tools that will help identify questionable claims, spot false or inaccurate claims, verify doubts, and even offer corrections on the fly. It has some limitations, but it's generally a tool that has been applied quite widely. Let me try to play a quick, just part of the video.
Hey guys, it's Daniel. Transcripts for fact-checkable claims. Using the API of its lab launched a service that automatically scans CNN transcripts for fact-checkable claims using the API of a tool called ClaimBuster, which is developed by computer scientists at UT Arlington. Then it automatically sends an email with statements to fact-checking partners, all without human intervention. Here's Mark Stencil with more.
What we are working on now through our project at the Tech and Check Cooperative is to build feeds that use the ClaimBuster.
You have to start it directly from the desktop. It's still not playing.
Hey guys, it's Daniel Funke from the International Fact-Checking Network at Pointer, and on today's episode of Check...
That's fine, let's move on. But I was very impressed by how powerful these tools are. apologies, one moment. Okay, just the third case is about reducing poverty. The poverty is a multifaceted